Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective, to those who are moving into our 7th dimension. And so, conscious leaders, if you didn't tune into our previous episode on how we move beyond the reset, and that's because the reset loops are for those who don't know how to use their somatic mindset loop with the smart micro habit frameworks. And so the stability, maturity, adaptability, rationality, and teachability that comes from a baseline of securely attached, healthy self-worth. Okay, so you see yourself, you soothe, safe, secure yourself, and that's your baseline. And by being yourself the smart way, you now implement micro habit practices of I engage with others with relational integrity because I know those 2 levels of compassion that the Dalai Lama speaks about. And so it's you love thy enemy, that's the second one, but really there's no enemies. There's 5D moving into 7th dimension and beyond, and then our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters who we won't talk about too much as they continue to do their wheels. Because that's what happens when you don't know how to put into practice the core somatic mindset practices of I'm Maria, what's your name? Awesome. So I got a 3-year-old, you do too. The ones who don't, they have that entitlement, unhealthy, self-righteous stuff going on. And so we leave it to them to continue their sympathetic energy. We like our ventral energy. And so the core wounds, rejection, abandonment, betrayal, humiliation, and injustice, we continue to know. So again, as someone who helps people to stay true to themselves, by navigating the survival defensive loops with the digital resources and guides on PayHip, and then join us on Substack. And with the stories, I have stories. I've been ascending since 2005, but I was already downloading before that. Okay, and with God, He doesn't really mind. He, she, it, Spirit, Akash, the only ones who make it into a big deal. We already know who they are. Okay, so let's leave that alone, but I have no issue telling you what is what. And so with the solar eclipse, we have, again, new beginnings, transformation, balance, and seeing things clearly. And with Anima Mundi, we bring it all in. Our ancient stories came at a time where those stories were serving us and did serve us. The people that are stories, I know some are real, some are not. We look to the researchers to confirm all that and not. Okay, so a spiritual one, enlightened ones won't be concerned with any of that, which is, what am I going to say? With people who think that by sharing a number of different pieces of information and stories that we're canceling the other ones are the ones who don't know how to use 2 sides of the brain, because it's only the left that doesn't like when A, B, C, D, E, F, G touch each other. But when the left and right work together, which is why our 5D collective, again, is moving into 7th dimension, it's, again, a way of saying they stay open-hearted when we're talking about all differences. And so they're not going to get into fights with people of different political, religious, and all of that beliefs. They don't care if someone's going to call them a whore or not a whore, because it's not a big deal for grown-up to have people who use words. Because the only ones who are insecure are the same ones who would want us to continue to hold their hand at a certain point after your 25-year of mark, your brain, you maintain your adolescent essence, essential spark, social engagement, novelty, creative expression, because you are wielding your nervous system. Doesn't mean you enjoy when you have interactions with people that aren't going to be, amazing, but you're maintaining composure and also subjective reality. Anyone? So when I see soothe, safe, secure myself as a mystic spiritual one, I am the one who says I know what I believe in, I know what I download, I know everything. I don't need you to believe in me because I'm a mature version of Maria. I'm not a child who needs you to approve of me. And I'm also not a child who needs to stand in my 16-year-old and affirm that this is the part of how, so embodied emotional intelligence, which is an intelligent sentient being, spiritual, mystic, and or mindful, and or all, will continuously ascend every time there's energy out there. By the way, you also eventually don't watch the Schumann resonance anymore and all that other good stuff. Okay, so I have a lot of different stories, but the point is 3D, 4D don't move into expanded versions of themselves. They look to each other, and then they have one leader, and that's their Peter Pan, and that Peter Pan has Wendy and all that other good stuff. So everybody has a role, but in the meantime, my role is to support you to be you. And so again, as conscious leaders through real-time somatic mindset shifts, want to put into practice that which they are, they will not do spiritual bypassing, they will not wear a mask, they will not do somatic bypassing, they will also not fake composure, and they will not use minimum energy mode, their sympathetic energy. They will enjoy using their true grown-up no versus the 2-year-old no. So my 2 and 3-year-old, my child parts come up with my mom, the one person, and my twin, because we were kids together. So we have a whole dynamic. And so you'll know your stuff, I'll know my stuff. And here's where with twin flames, nobody sends you into this testing that you've heard out there. Okay, so pause for a minute as I get and gather that which I want to share. So those who betray us, they tend to lecture us, and those who betray us tend to betray themselves, which is why we don't actually use 1, 2, 3, 4s. Eventually, you are able to easily forgive that which are emotionally immature people because they're not choosing it. They're at a certain point just living their dark sides and their plasticity, their codependent states, and their insecurities, and then they continue to bring around adaptive child part is the word that Terrio uses, and I'm going to use that one, their right wrong thing. And so you just allow yourself to engage, and I love to find out about them. So there's a person who once did this, excuse me, random human being who wasn't a part of the conversation. You're confusing science and spirituality. That's a lefty without a righty who doesn't like A, B, C, D, F, G touching each other. And like my facade friend who called me a hypocrite, he thinks I'm a hypocrite too, because that's the part of why he thinks I'm confusing shit. Well, I'm not. I'm like, no, I bring them all together. I'm a mystic mentor, content creator, podcast host. I guide people on personal growth, spiritual growth. So no, I'm actually doing it on purpose. No, because I'm a mystic too. I'm a Reiki master too. That's strike 2. They're not out. It's just strike 2. I've learned this when I was a teenager. And now I know it thanks to Terrio as an adaptive child part person. So by the second point, I'm like, wait, my men friends said I say it wrong. My women friends say I should get in people's faces. I'm not going to do either, but maybe I did say it wrong. Also, I have a communication gap. I use words that are not correct. And I also am not able to read between the lines. I don't go and infer social things. If I don't see it, I'm like, oh, okay. So with that, I'm like, wait, hold on, conversation. So it's like if you had a 3-year-old who's in front of you. I have that story too. This was at an airport with a mother, with a 3-year-old. And do you know what a 3-year-old wants? Mommy. And so the 0-8-year-old, I had my lovely 0-8-year-old, a third attunement, repairing rupture, and Maria. Okay, so when you are always empowering yourself to be yourself, you understand how a child works. So at the airport with this lady, the little girl did not like that her mother was not paying attention to her. The mother wanted to hang out with a grown-up for once, you could tell, and I had a number of mother friends at that point, and I knew what it looked like when they're like, finally a grown-up, I can talk. And I'm like, okay. And the little girl at a certain point comes in between us, like, Mommy, when is the lady leaving? I want her to leave. And she's like, don't say that, that's rude. I'm like, it's okay, she just wants your attention. It's like, I'm sorry, your mom wants to talk to me for a little bit, so. Now, back to the grown-ass human being, man. Third time, strike, and no, he's not out. Third time, it was, I'm a Reiki master too, the second, and then I'm like, no, because, and I go on and explain quantum physics, and then, and he shows me, show and tell. I got boot on one arm, quantum physics on another arm. Now I'm curious, because that's what a 5D collective person, meaning human being with Christ consciousness, I'm bringing it to human way, spiritual way, all of it. It means you're connected in your body and you're in your prefrontal cortex. Present, attuning, resonating, trusting. Thank Dr. Daniel Siegel. His acronyms are fabulous. So part, it's also called the flow state by neuroscientists. And so when you look at all the human elements, all the sciences, and when you look at social sciences and humanities, which tell us how our lovely culture is made by people, we will have our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters who continue to talk about us like this. Those are the bad ones. And you think, wow, those are the epistemically lazy, dysregulated, insecure people. They actually don't notice. They all act like Diego's family from Ice Age. And it's really not fascinating that they abandon each other and then they have each other's back. They also seem to, humiliating each other, and they still have each other's back. Are they actually creating more suffering and injustice and they still have each other's back? Wow, this is getting really fascinating. Can I have some popcorn over here? Because I'm still looking at what they're rejecting each other because now they don't like that they have different opinions. Did that look reactive to you? I'm pretty sure that was reactive. That actually was, you didn't actually tell me I'm amazing and now I'm angry at you. Anybody ever noticed how spot on it is to spot people with the attachment trauma education and see which ones are functional inner child adults? As we unconsciously love with flaws and imperfections, like, oh look, there's another Waldo. Hey, high five, Buddha, come on. So Buddha had been making fun of me for a while. I didn't figure it out. I knew something was up, because a sage will know why a sage is making fun of another sage. And the one's like, how dare you? Yeah, it's actually fun to be in the enlightenment soul age group. It's your 3-year-old and your 16-year-old, and it's all your child parts. And actually, it's a person who knows that default mode network. I found out from Bessel van der Kolk. That's why people don't know how to be themselves. I'll never forget when I found out. I was like, finally, this makes so much more sense. When people get afraid, they look outside themselves for help. I get afraid for my physical safety. Other than that, I don't look outside for help. I just ask for help. So this is where no enmeshing. And I explained this to a person who looked at me weird when I said no energy vampires. I said, okay, when you're done with therapy, it's called you're differentiating and linking again and again and again. And as you continue to do this, your twin flames won't affect you at all eventually. Your oversoul won't affect you at all eventually. Eventually, when you're in the planes of lower free, wherever it is, Akashic record, nothing will affect you, because you actually are empowered in this vehicle. This is a beautiful body, because you're using your human makeup. And this is called a 5D mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving human being who is AKA restorative embodiment. So this is what you get to do with mindfulness skills and your mindsight skills, and that's because you own this shit. And it ain't shit, but it's called you are not afraid of somatic countertransference, and emotions aren't contagious. And when you have people who are dysregulated again and again and again, you learn how to ventral pivot. Because why would I not use my prefrontal cortex and my superpower of my ventral energy, which allows me to abundantly replenish myself again and again and again? So, as I was saying, I've been ascending since 2005 with the whole mystic stuff. I was already downloading prior to that. These two galactic beings keep coming over. Okay, come over, shall you? I need to find the notes that they gave me some notes to. I might be able to. We'll find out if I have time for this. But the point is that everything's going to be fine in the future. Obviously, I know that you're all wondering, how do I know it? I'll tell you in a minute. Actually, you know what? I want to tell you something different. So number one, when I found out about the 5D collective, I found out that we align with God, Source, apply the spiritual essence of love, and activate in God's will with Mother Earth's 5th dimension. And I already understood, as Lovely said, Guru shares, that the greatest gift you can give to another human being is to accept, respect, and love them. And that's because with God, you have no need to cast stones. Jesus tells us about the kingdom of God being within everyone. And the scientists prove what the insecure people are, scared children. So healthy love, it's true love with healthy fear. And when I get afraid, it's for my physical safety. Other than that, I don't need my sympathetic. Which is why when someone writes an enlightened world, let me read to you. This is from our Wisdom subreddit group. An enlightened world would not allow anyone to face life's challenges alone. If you have family, your primary caregivers, and your siblings, you have your first 5 alloparenting crew. So you're not going to be alone unless you don't feel seen, soothed, safe, secure to be yourself, which means then that you're not yet a functional adult, which means you want to go get empowered with someone named Terry Real, so that you can disengage from being a person who gets very, very upset with betrayal, rejection, humiliation, injustice, and abandonment, which means you're a grown-up and knowing how to lead. So when I think of a leader, they need to have the capacity to have that which is called a physiological state of compassion and composure, the two compassions that the religious people failed to teach, as the Dalai Lama points out to the lovely Dr. Dana Siegel in a speech of some sort, that an engaging conversation, don't quote me. I like to get all excited and I change things up. But the point is that the 2 levels of compassion involve the mother, the first, which Dr. Dana Siegel says the attachment stuff, and so secure attached person, check, I got it, because you're an integrated brain, you wield your personality patterns, your temperament, all this amazing stuff right here in front of you. Second, love thy enemy. I have no enemies, Dalai Lama, luckily for me, because an enemy would be someone, I'm not in a physical war, there's no enemy. That word means nothing to a person who's intelligent, by the way, because it's one globe. I was a kid and I'm like, it's one globe. Okay, so when people want to begin to talk about identity, I'm like, yes, use your name, please. Oh, are you one of those who don't know what your identity is? Are you confused with the whole ego stuff? Okay, so I'm letting you in on, I have never understood what it's like to not be in your prefrontal cortex. Trying to let you know, and you guys can see me, some can only hear me. So when someone begins to get reactive over religion, politics, and anything about the one globe, now I know, thanks to Terrio, Patrick Tian, all the smart therapists, what I'm dealing with, which is the number one reason, thank you God for keeping away from all my twin flames. Unhealthy self-righteousness is where those who don't know how to be humble, because they have not been liberated, because they're still saving themselves from their own first 5 alloparenting. So when you're an insecure person, you're going to continue playing out on a wheelhouse, the 0-8-year-old non-metabolized trauma time. Thank you, Pat Ogden. And the spiritual bypassing community since 2005, you know how many people I have seen not move into the 5 dimension, meaning not expand, not ascend, and continue to do their little merry-go-round? That's called the dark sides of neuroplasticity, and that's why Robert Sapolsky's book Determined, he's not 100% off, because the first 3 years of your life matter. Imagine someone say, I found it hard to believe the first years of life matter. And imagine you knowing that they do matter. And then imagine you knowing there's no evil inside the body of any of those human beings out there. It's only sad that self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart, and hearing themselves is torture. So when I think of a person writing something like this in a wisdom group, an enlightened world would not allow anyone to face life's challenges alone. We are in a world that is expanding. As our scientific community today, attachment trauma educators know how to support anyone who wants to become that which is themselves, which is why our world got lighter, because we pick up on each other's nervous systems. And I still remember as I ascended and moved into picking up on the globe, moved into picking up on the entire infinite sphere. I'm pseudoscience because I relate to all of that which is human stuff from the spiritual window of tolerance to window welcome, but your insula can grow as you use an integrated brain. I found that one out from Dr. Daniel Siegel. So when you understand that the scientists explain to us how our embodied brain works, it's not a competition. When you understand those who don't know secure attachment won't be able to have their own emotional charges or their soul's calling or the essence of them in the forefront, because in order for you to have access to yourself, you need to be securely attached. And everyone can get securely attached. In fact, actually, that's the whole beauty of why the scientists are saving the brothers and sisters who want to move into their emotional, mature, mentally mature. They might not like us because we forgive, but they're going to move into that which is healthy self-worth, and then they're not going to leave transgenerational trauma behind. But in the meantime, we have people who are, at this moment in time, hurting other people. And we don't know how all of those people will respond, because that's the whole beauty of each nervous system is of the person who owns it. So what do we get to do? Well, I get to say how all of our angels, all of our brothers and sisters are angels, how our stories, they update because times means we learn. So with the solar eclipse, I still do perceive all of the ascension energies. But unlike 4D and 3D, who navigate that which is their ascension journey through others, do you know, let me pause, do you know how to just draw, just have a good time drawing? I'm asking, like, do you have fun? I'm not a good drawer, but I'll still draw. Okay, so our left likes control, and our left also likes to try and do things well, and our mind likes to think, right? The right is able to sit in the unknown and with all the stuff and have fun with it. Okay, so when you are in your world inside and you are flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable, thanks Dr. Daniel Siegel, his acronyms are wonderful, and you maintain your adolescent essence, essential spark, social engagement, novelty, creative expression, you're going to continue to be yourself, and then all of the other words are going to come. So mystic, spiritual, mindful, faith, Maria is my name, though that's my identity. So I can't draw right or wrong. I am simply going to be bringing to all of it. Those who are afraid to draw wrong and those who are afraid because they would want that certainty, they look for people who give them a little box so that they can fit in that little box and so that their mind can feel at ease, which is why it's not a competition. So some people, they enjoy expanding to more, and others will not. And that's why I try my best to work with my judgmental asshole. And so Anima Mundi, for me, bringing it all in is continuing to be the most amazing of journeys. The lovely galactic beings who are here, they're just wanting me to let you in on it's going to be fine. And actually our species is going to advance and we're going to do wonders. As for the 3D, 4D, well, this is where we'll have to wait to see, because right now we already have a group of people who don't want to mingle and tingle, and our globe has decided how to handle that one. But as we move into the future, since there are the beautiful, smart therapists pretty much empowering people with that which is our embodied brain, you're going to bet we're going to have more self-sovereign, regulating people. That's where leaders are at. The ones who are old news, they're old news for a reason, which is we don't go backwards. So the ones who think that we might go to sticks and stones, as I've heard an astrologer talking about these types of prophecies that will have come out of the mouth of those. This is right, I was going to tell you another story, Dharma. I see a spiritual master, I don't remember his name, he's being interviewed by another spiritual person, and he's talking about how Dharma reorganizes itself. What I love when I hear different spiritual stories, no matter how they bring it to me, I will always notice the cosmic karmic balancing, the stuff that will not organically, I'm going to use that word, take place. And so with the future being set, meaning Earth will be fine, because as we are growing to intelligent, sentient beings, is because we have more intelligence on the scientific front. Spiritual can't get touched, can't break people of faith. The ones who want to be divisive and stay within their own group, manage those stories, that's it. So they're going to point a finger to those of us who they don't like. The ones who aren't able to draw outside the lines because their left brain decided, nope, it has to be this way. This is why it's the left, because only the left makes a big deal out of A, B, C, D, E, F, G touching each other. If you're working with two sides and you're an empowered person, you don't give a shit about how someone's bringing it to you. You're having fun with it because you're not threatened. Your identity is not threatened. So again, this I do not comprehend those who are threatened by subject matters. Because a cherishable belief is mine. You don't have to believe what I believe. And if I want to believe that donkeys fly, I will believe it, but you don't have to. I'm also grounded in reality. And so I don't comprehend the effective realism and distortions. I understand what they are because I know the word, and I know what cognitive dissonance is. And then I know that those who are afraid is because they don't own their first 3 years of life, which means they don't have fun inside their mind. And it also means that they want more meaning in life than that which is, hey, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I can't motivate you to autonomously self-regulate and then to deal with that which is, thanks Dr. Daniel Siegel, as he points out, the unknown. All humans don't like it. I don't like it either, but it's a truth. It exists. And that's exactly why I will allow myself to say I still am definitely a person who will contemplate how I don't want to die, but that's because I'm enjoying life. As for the fear, it's always only the freaking panic attacks and earthquakes and physical stuff at this point, but not the part about like death. So when people think that when I say I'm afraid of death, I'm just saying I like to be alive. That's a side note. But the part about me not being able to comprehend being afraid in the way that others will have told me, I'm trying to let you know, because that's where I notice there's a disconnect on perception. Like I'll be speaking about something and other won't understand that I'm coming at it from an empowered, enlightening place and not from a place of, I can't explain it. I can only bring to you when I've been, for example, in a discussion with someone who we were having a fun time and all of a sudden they're yelling at me. That's their reactivity. Or when I was with Big Man Baby Friend Child and a friend of ours, even though he's not really a friend, he's more of someone who ended up finally not coming around anymore, but he's just so into something that my friend had told him that was scary, that like, no, I can't go. Okay, so I don't comprehend those who are not capable of moving beyond a specific level of perception of that which are subject matters. It's the best I can do. But that's where I'm going to pause it, because it wasn't even meant to be a part of our conversation. I was going to tell you something else, but I believe that I've lost the train of thought at this point. And so with that being said, every ascension energy, what I do know is that those who have expanded continue to bring forth that which is support to our species, and we will continue doing what we do best moving into the future. The ones who are refusing to expand themselves because it's just cognitive dissonance, structural dissociation, again, they find that your brain can fall out of your asshole, they're going to continue to isolate and do whatever they do best. And we're not going to be canceling or excluding or doing any of that which is being upset, because our decisions are going to be based upon what truly matters and not on what we like or don't like. So what works is that people who will spiritually ascend and personally grow are the ones who are using their embodied brain. And that's with the two sides. Those who don't like us, they don't like us because they would want us to pick a team, and we did pick a team. It's called humanity. So humanity expands and ascends thanks to us moving into the future. And so here is, I found it just in case you're curious. So future Earth is protected and fine. The commander-in-chief and the second commander-in-chief came around with Atlantis. There are some mistakes in the stories. There's some confused timelines, and also actually it did not self-destruct. So when it resurfaces, or when the time is right, there will be more that we will get to find out about Atlantis. And I actually had seen something about this recently. So what my download was about it was that the reason things took place the way they did was because of a lack of advanced capacity to be in that which is that compassion and that foresight that today instead our species does have. So when we're looking out into the world, there's a bounty full of people who know what's wrong with the fact that there's still killing and, you know, people not taking care of the environment, and the part about isolating in different countries. Like, we are a world made of a number of cultures, and anyone who thought there were not aliens, I mean, really, where are they living? Under a rock? Okay, so I'm just saying the difference here is where timelines and also people who are relying on these stories for the future, that's very clear that they are not in a place of groundedness and at ease. And so the left mode likes to have logic, which is why it will prefer to choose one story and one group of people, because that way their embodied brain is not overwhelmed. You see what I'm saying? So when someone has the incapacity to pause themselves and they get agitated with someone who's talking about a number of things, that's because they're getting into an existential, not crises, but basically you are pushing buttons on that which is a self that is not stable enough yet. While the self of mine, and anybody who is still here at this point, is stable enough to know I'm a person, I have a name, you have a name, and we all have experiences. And so it's not a truth or a fact. And when you are a person who's capable of doing that, it's because you sift through those sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, the SIFT acronym, and that means you're able to contain all that comes up, and then you're able to know what a subject matter is and how it's not part of your identity. And then you're also able to know what science is, and that it's grounded in reality, and there's a handful of facts. And then the other stuff is a bunch of different pieces of information that we bring together. The part about needing to do something with things getting so bad, this motto is only of those who like that one commercial about if you need the fire to be on to take action, the whole dopamine thing, whatever that is. So when people are learning tidbits of information but they haven't noticed, do you know how to actually wield your embodied brain, have mental focus, have the ease within you or not, okay? Cliche sentences I find don't help people to learn things. It's conversations. At the same time, people need to want to take themselves seriously, and some people don't. So they'll do something that's trending, but they won't take seriously doing that which is their best interest. And so the 4D collective and 3D, they continue to give each other a home. And those who do understand that, that's why it's not a good team or a bad team. It's a bunch of people who will support each other the best they can, and some will advance into that which is emotional intelligence, and some will not. Not because they can't, though. They can always make that choice. And so with that, Our somatic mindset micro habits fuel embodied leadership, and leading happens when you go beyond the ego, not because there's ego death or darkness soul, because there's an ego and a self, and you say, I can reassure myself and understand if someone don't like me. And then I can understand that those who have betrayed us, they lecture us. Those who have rejected us, they try to shame us, they won't succeed. Those who will try to tell us that we've been abandoned by God or whatever, they can continue doing what they do best, not taking accountability, not allowing themselves to go and get themselves more mature and understand we are flawed, we are imperfect, we can continue working together with that open-heartedness, with that open-mindedness. Humiliation, those who do that, they humiliate themselves because it's going to be clear that they have really bad manners. And injustice, well, they negate the suffering and hurt they cause, and they are going to continue to pat each other, justify their ways, and they navigate the wastelands in here, and in the meantime they won't represent that big of a threat because there's a bunch of smart ones, and we don't need them all to be smart. So all we need is that 1%, like our species had a 1% that got us to here. That's why whenever you hear these almost ending stories, like something bad has to happen, no, we have change happens. Like when Elvis came around, they cut his legs off. So when we go through change, people, some will expand, some will not. That's why we have a group that will have to say, knock, knock, who's there? Hey, so listen, you know, you think we're devils and all that because you don't like science and technology, but the earth is going to, you know, go through that thing because the sun, which is a star, is going to go through that thing. And so we're leaving now because it's time to go. Luckily, we have friends with aliens and all that other stuff. Do you want to come? No. Okay, so could we take the children you claim to love? I'm sorry, where are my manners? The children you've decided to bring to life, and could we take them with us? So they can live a long life instead of dying an excruciatingly painful death, like physically speaking. I need to break it down so you can understand. I'm not joking. I know you think I'm an evil son of whatever, but can we? No. Okay, so at that point, I'm wondering, because I didn't ask yet the guides, but I won't because it's none of my business, for the future is not here yet. What will we do? As a species who's advanced to the point of understanding how beliefs work and how a belief isn't necessarily going to be scientific, so it's not a data point, but also belief. God, I believe in God right now. I'm talking to you as a spiritual one. And in fact, that's exactly why I'm going to say they've betrayed their calling. They're going to look at me and say that I have because they think that I am bad because I use all the symbols. Oh no, she's using cards and ruins, Reiki. So it's very not funny. When people want to make fun of the mystic spiritual stuff, I get it. That's fine with me. Make fun of it. When they want to talk about us as charlatans, well, I know there's shamans out there who tell people don't go to therapy, come to me, and I'm like, that's irresponsible. That's not cool. Don't do it. Yet many people will go to them, and when I tell someone, look, what you just described is clinically dissociation. I am not allowed to say you have to go to therapy, but I'm not what you need or want. I mean, yes, you want personal growth and you want Reiki and Akashic record readings and all that. That's great. But once we're working with someone, and if they give you the approval, because mindfulness brings risks because of non-bilaterally integrated brain, people having a non-bilaterally integrated brain. There's an actual explanation. Yes, and memory barriers are not something cool. Also, my timbre could set off. There's a lot that I know, and when someone thinks of time jump because they lost track of time, I know that that's called the clinical dissociation and offline. And I have an explanation and I have a solution. It's called good therapy, but they don't want it. So when you see the spiritual bypassing community talk about that, which is all of their experiences, you know about on-off, sympathetic dorsal vagal, because they didn't learn autonomous self-regulation. You know what monsters in the head are and a lot more. It's okay. Health is the number one thing for anyone who wants to tell me they're a coach, a mentor, and someone trying to help people. I am. A liar is going to say, nope, we are still allowing ourselves to tie people down because there's monsters in them. Excuse me. You said what? You're going to tie them. That's actually going to cause more trauma. Okay, so the part about where I can be called a charlatan, that's great and dandy from whoever it is. What I notice is if you want to help people, then you send them to the right person. Guess what the person did after I told them about the clinical dissociation and I can't work with you alone? never came back. Another one had psychosis. I said, adult attachment interview, and we need to find a therapist because you became a physical threat to yourself, your wife and ex-wife and children, and that's, again, a no-show, which is fine with me. Point is, people want either what they want, or they're not going to be coming to someone like me until they are ready to grow. And those who try to talk sense to others and they're not heard, it's because you can't make those who don't want to believe their first 3 years of life matter do anything. So autonomous self-regulation, that's number one. Then you'll be growing, and that's only because, number two, tune into that other episode. You'll say, I move beyond this loop because I don't need to be defensive survival. I don't need to be an unhealthy fear. I don't need to be emotionally immature. I can understand that as a human, I have human secondary consciousness, and that I will always contemplate and I will feel first. And that I will obviously want to be not alone, because we all want one securely attached figure, because the bear will eat us, and because we know of dark matter and dark energy. That doesn't send my brain spiraling into hell. It's, yes, that's the truth, which is why Existential Physics by Sabine didn't send me anywhere, except for I look forward to reading it, Sabine. But some people have written her and said, now I don't know what to do with my life because nothing has any more meaning. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's just one person's explanation. You don't have to take it as a, I mean, of course it's science, I get it. But hey, you're still alive, so yeah, what if we are all stars and dust? Does that make life any less significant? It should make it more significant. In fact, this reminds me of the guy who made artificial intelligence. He was interviewed by Neil deGrasse. I believe that's the interview I was watching. And he's like, we made it, or he created it so that people would appreciate reality more, not use it to escape. And I'm like, well, you know, there's always two sides to every end of a coin. So I actually would never have thought that you made it for us to enjoy reality. In fact, I don't even use it. I do use social media, which is the one thing he told people to get off of. If I remember correctly, I think he's the one who's in that other crappy not documentary that I got to watch, where all these marketers said it was so great. And I'm like, it's not great. It was brainwashing material. And they didn't even share, like, they're a bunch of disgruntled employees, it seemed like, and then get off of social media but use AI. Really? Now I know why, as they used it. No, they created it so you would appreciate reality more. It's, well, there's a lot of people who don't want to actually think of all the topics I talked about. So they're using Fantasyland to escape, because that's how upsetting it is for them to not know what came first, the chicken or the egg. And to close on, in this last story, Sadhguru shares with a woman who is basically like, please Sadhguru, stop. He's talking about how we will end up in darkness. And I know what he's talking about because I had just finished watching a number of episodes of the cosmos and how our cosmos ends. And at that point, as the woman in the audience says, please Sadhguru, you're scaring us, I could tell she was upset. And I'm like, he's a guru, he's not going to stop. Of course he's not. And he's like, are you afraid of darkness? And I'm like, no, she's not. But she's obviously destabilized because she doesn't want to think about it, meaning she's upset about that. But then again, you go to a guru, what do you think he's going to talk to you about? Something simple and straightforward. So, you know, at the end of the day, as we conclude with our lovely episode, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I do know that the conscious, self-led, empowered people are going to be here, and that we don't need resets. We actually do the work with the foundation, and that's because our human makeup is made that way. Biology, and whether you want to say it's by chance, that's why life always wins. We're cellular biology or God. They both end up together. Win-win. So the smoke and mirrors, though, if you had only spinach and no chocolate, would you know what you were choosing? I got to have this type of conversation with a friend of mine, because he's like, why would God create chocolate and spinach when he knows they would choose the chocolate? And I said, because if you had no choice, you wouldn't really know what you're choosing. It's not because it is a must to have to go through pain or suffering or anything like that. But I'm trying to say, from a spiritual perspective, if someone wants to tell me why, well, why? Because how many are choosing to do good? Now, the good word comes with the emotional mature, mental mature, because see, that's the whole point. I teach a child what good and bad is by being an emotionally mature. I see, soothe, safe, secure. The ones who were raised to think they're bad know to feel shame, so we have a problem. Every time core wounds are created, we continue to have to deal with the transgenerational trauma batons. So, with all that being said and done, thanks to the scientists supporting the spiritual ones, compassion will continue to come forth. As for the ones who are divisive, they will continue doing what they do best, but they represent no threat due to the fact that they are weak. They are not coming together, but they are instead isolating. And, well, while people like to talk about collaboration happens around a whole globe. So when someone is distorting things, it seems that they think those fake lines that are drawn and the fact that they want to continue identifying with them, it actually is something smart. I just think, obviously, you don't realize how this works. And so if we do need to be brought forth aliens, some people already think that's the only way they're going to get us to work together. So conspiracy theorists all over the place. I mean, swear. It's amazing. No, it's hilarious. Okay, so with that being said, again, thanks for stopping by. We'll have more of these conversations. Have a good one.